Hey guys, it's your boy Ocey here again, and we're in part two, or at least episode two of our Demystifying Digital series. So the first one we did, what is a digital business, which is the end goal of all businesses, or should be the end goal of all businesses, and that is the end result after you complete your digital transformation, right? So today's episode, we're jumping into digital transformation. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about what digital transformation is, especially here in the Caribbean. I have worked on a couple of digital transformation projects myself, and I just here to really demystify the entire thing and let people know that some of what they are calling digital transformation is not digital transformation, right? So there's a bunch of different descriptions of what it is, because again, it's new, so a lot of people will coin it in different ways. This is just the one that I believe in, and based on projects that I've did, this is just the one that stood out and makes the most sense to me, right? So a lot of people say transformation is about creating new future without the constraints of the past, right? Rethinking your entire business, innovate with empathy, and use technology, people, and processes to really develop a new value chain, right? A lot of people who say they're doing digital transformation are just simply old-fashioned change businesses. So I see a lot of companies here. For example, in the insurance industry, I see a lot of people just slap on a motor code page, and then slap on a payment processor by First Atlantic and say, "Oh no, we are doing digital transformation," and that sounds good to the media. That probably sounds good to a management in a management meeting, but essentially that is not what it is. Right? That, for all intents and purposes, that's probably what you should have done before the pandemic, giving people that option to pay without coming into your organization and pay a premium, right? So I don't like people really, for whatever better, was selling dreams to the population and saying, "Hey, we're doing digital transformation." That's not what you're doing, right? Digital transformation can't happen for certain businesses at that scale in such a short time, right? So a lot of people, as I say, are just creating a little change. I'll probably call it digital change. And a lot of people don't understand that change and transformation are both difficult, right? They're both difficult, right? Especially for larger organizations. And generally, the more difficult it becomes, right, the longer it will take. But there are some important differences between transformation and change that we're going to jump into in the slides. And I just want to, and I hope it clarifies it for the people, right? So let's jump right in. Before we get there, you can find this video on my YouTube channel, just like every other video in the series. It's going to be in a series, what I would call that, a playlist. And you can find everything slowly updated on oceyphillips.com or shared across any of my social channels, right? So this is one, what they would call a definition of digital transformation, right? It's the process of rethinking one's business model or business process in light of the availability and affordability of digital technologies, right? Basically, don't hang your hat where you can't reach it, basically. And what this says is, in its core, or in its purest form, rethinking a business model. You know, we're not talking about fancy stuff like social media, but we mean a business model at its core. And I like to talk about business models and operational models. So business model is how you deliver value to a customer and get paid for it. And operational model internally means how do you continuously innovate and move up the value chain, or basically use technology to add to your value proposition. I don't like using that word, but hey, right? So transformation, on the other hand, requires a break with the past, right? A lot of people just think, hey, it's supposed to look the same, or we add on this page, we just add on a website. That is not transformation, right? It's also difficult to accept what transformation is, because you have to rethink the entire thing, as it says. So I could understand businesses who have been doing or operating in the same business model for the last 20 years. It's hard for them to just rethink what their business would look like now, right? So it's kind of scary. So a lot of people just do so and say, "Here's let me just slap on this and kind of remain in a comfort zone," right? So So there's that aspect of it. But a lot of people need to understand that digital transformation could offer so much potential, right? That you could really design the future the way you wish. Maybe you could change your entire industry, right? And transformation itself doesn't describe the future by reference to our past, right? Hence that specifically chosen picture here of this caterpillar, and I'll explain to that. Right? So what it says is when digital transformation has been done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And when done wrong, it's just like you have a faster caterpillar. So there's a reason why most of the pictures that you see with digital transformation reflects this. And that is because if you have not ever seen a caterpillar before and you just saw a butterfly, you really and truly would never think that a butterfly used to be a caterpillar. And that is the exact same reason or the exact same principle for digital transformation, meaning that your business at the end of the transformation should look like a butterfly and not resemble what it was looking like, a caterpillar. So slapping on a code page or something like that or allowing people to pay digitally is not digital transformation. It still looks like a caterpillar. It more falls under the realm of digital change, and nothing is wrong with that. We need to change or pivot while we work out our digital transformation. And this deck isn't going into depth in too much depth with the unnecessary things, but it just identifies some high level what people should look at in their business and to spark thoughts and to spark change, basically. Right? So, as I said, at the end result, your digital business, which is what happens at the end of digital transformation, aka your butterfly, should not resemble like this. So let me give you an example. One of the projects that I worked across and still working across on Africa is an insurance company. And what that company is doing is that they are going into technology. So the technology part, they're building out a system. I can't talk too much about it, but they're building out a system with APIs that connect to all smart devices. So you will connect to your smartwatch, your Fitbit, everything. And you personally, so me, Ocey Phillips, I have a plan with that insurance company. They see how much I work out, how much I exercise, if I reach my fitness goals for the year. And after the year, that affects how much premium I pay or how much I pay in terms of a premium at the end of the year. So if I work out more and my age goes up and they realize that I'm working out more and more and more and I'm more healthy, then the less I pay. But if I'm not working out as much, then I become more of a liability to them and my premium increases. And that in itself is a totally different business model from traditional insurance companies, right? And that is the kind of things that digital transformation are here for, right? And we'll jump into the next slide, right? So transformation versus change, as we say, they're two different things, right? Many initiatives labeled as transformation are simply old-fashioned change initiatives, right? That are just creating a slightly better version of the past. Transformation creates a totally new future without the constraints of the past. So for a bank, traditional banking right now is the banks redoing their mobile banking. That's change, right? Traditional change. Transformation of a bank means that they are a neobank, a digital bank that they could access all the services digitally. Essentially, people could now change the way they bank. KYC and everything changes. The requirements for opening a new account changes, right? Or the way all those things happen changes. And that is the transformation that we see. So this is really to spark a perspective or a view to change the lens of people and how they look at things. And after this, you could say, hey, somebody talking about digital transformation, then you could spot them out and say, hey, what you're doing there is not digital transformation. And maybe you can educate them a little bit in how they should look at things, right? Digital change, right? So we spoke about transformation, now we're into change, right? Change is what's required when a problem that needs solving is relatively simple. AKA, problem, people coming into our office to pay, there's COVID, we don't want anybody to get that, we be in close contact, we put on an online payment page on our website, people could pay with a credit card, right? And the current system needs some updating with perhaps a new technology or new process. So new for a lot of businesses would be First Atlantic or WePay, or whatever payment processor that they're using to pay online. That is a change, right? A business model, you would have to take into consideration things like how much of your consumers have a credit card or are able to pay digitally, right? Do I add on more payment mediums, stuff like that, right? And change really requires you to become familiar with the current situation and to work to make things better, faster, cheaper, but in a short term, right? Make it leaner if you need to. And success is kind of often measured by efficiencies, right? So it's a short-term fix. COVID hit, people can't come to work. We still need to get that revenue in. People come and pay, and then revenue, whew, wipe the sweat and you say, all right, cool. Sit down in a meeting and the CEOs and they say, right, we get in revenue now, we are good, because our existing business model meant that we could survive on fixed amount of revenues based on our forecast, and this is what we need to do. But transformation now kind of takes it back. And we'll go through the different levels of what businesses need to do to get to that transformation stage. And I hope that this really and truly changes the way people look at things, right? So we're here with what we're looking at, digital sugarcoating. Now, this is a term kind of coined by one person, but I like it. So digital sugarcoating is what companies are doing if they introduce like a social media campaign or the collection of data that doesn't get used. So they essentially check a box. You know, you come into a meeting and you say, all right, I need to do this. And you really just need to impress your boss and you do that. And believe that these activities mean that they're transforming your business. And this happens a lot in the Caribbean. Like every time I hear, or 9 out of 10 times I hear somebody talk about digital transformation, I kind of cringe because it's like, oh man, you again. So I believe that a lot of people are digitally sugarcoating things that they're doing, especially some of the main industries, insurance companies, banks, and other big corporate juggernauts in the region. Oh, we're doing digital transformation, and you come on an interview or you come on a webinar and you say that to kind of make people feel good, or probably make yourself feel good, right? But really and truly, that is not true transformation, right? So believing sugarcoating or these small campaigns as transformation is borderline delusional. And the time bomb will still tick, meaning that your business is still vulnerable, you have not innovated, and you haven't really done any true transformation, right? Because this kind of gives people on a C-level a sense of forced security. And that happens when a lot of people think that the existing people that they have in a business that keeps it going are the people that could switch and do the transformation. So transformation would require new skill sets, new vision, new different type of thinkers, different type of people that learn differently, lateral thinkers, entrepreneurial people. And then you're sitting there with somebody who the last time they upskilled was 5-10 years ago, and they don't understand where the world is currently or where the world is going, because they're still living in the past, but they are responsible for the future of your company, right? And that is a recipe for disaster, right? So then we move on to digital readiness, right? So in this definition says that digital readiness is defined by the level of readiness of an organization's workforce to transition into digitized workflows that are enabled by software and technology. And that happens a lot in governmental agencies where people sit in a position for the last 20 years, and now digital hits. They're like, I've been doing the same thing for the last 20 years. I don't really need to go and do a course. It blows my mind when people say that they're sitting and they have to wait 3 to 4 weeks to get a pay slip or a job letter, because it has to manually pass over different desks and somebody has to sign it. And the change management aspects of this mean that people in the company has to come out of their comfort zone, and that is frustrating for them. It's a nightmare, right? So employees are the fundamental units of any business. People, everything around a business either boils down to people, process, technology, and people are the multiplier. No matter how much technology that we implement, people are valuable, right? And as a business works to realign the objectives and fortify the infrastructure with technology, The transition must begin at the people level, whether it's a CEO, whether you bring in somebody that understands digital, but you cannot use your IT guy as a Swiss Army knife and put him in charge of digital, in charge of marketing, in charge of e-commerce. No, you need to find the right people. And the right people are not always the people with formal education, because they may not be people who have degrees or masters in digital aspects. So you need to kind of waive that. The biggest companies that you look up to, Google, Amazon, they have all waived degree requirements. We need to do that. And we need to find people who think and do things and bring them in, right? So the quicker the employees are able to adapt to evolving technologies, the smoother the road is to digital transformation. And I've done a digital business model canvas, and this is one of the things that I've put in the costing. You're costing for upskilling, right? Because what if you have people that have not upskilled? Some people will be rowing and trying to navigate these choppy digital waters, and some people will be drilling holes by not upskilling or just carrying dead weight, right? So digital readiness. So as a business, you need to understand where are you ready, right? Are we even ready? Is our staff ready? What do we need to do? Not just be reactive. Understand you have to kind of react to the change in culture and the change what's going on now, and you have to keep business afloat. But at the same time, somebody has to take a step back and look at the business and say, hey, are we really ready? Is this department ready? Is HR ready? Are we hiring correctly? What are we doing, right? And then we move to digitization, right? So digitization is the process of converting information from a physical format to a more user-friendly computer system-based digital. And these things usually fall into things like enterprise content management systems and that kind of thing, where you really just digitize a form and the processes remain the same. Somebody submit the form, it goes to a specific email and a desk. When they do that, then it moves to a different department. And those type of things. That is digitization. That might cause a steep learning curve for some people. It may not, but this is one of the things that we need to look at, and really and truly taking it layer by layer before you really get to the big things and say, hey, digital transformation. These are the things that we need to look at. Digital readiness, digitization, digitalization, which is different, and basically things like digital acumen for people, right? So for example, right? A lot of people didn't realize forms. I went into a bank in 2021 in Trinidad, and a young lady's cutting out square pieces of paper to give people to say to write down a name and an information for an appointment. In 2021, a bank in Trinidad has a staff writing out on a piece of paper when somebody could get an appointment, and that shows like a low layer of digitization, which also means that these big businesses, that's why they get disrupted, because it's hard to implement something. You have to wait until the board reach, you have different departments in play. How do you make sure that the processes are correct? And it's a lot of red tape to get things done, right? And the people who are doing it now may not be the people that are needed to fix it, right? So we kind of need to switch up how we look at things. But if we break it down bit by bit, then we need to look at things like digitization, right? Digitalization now is the process of harnessing the power of digitalization to optimize the processes, right? So digitization, right? And then we have digitalization, right? So digitization, we're converting the information from physical to digital, and digitalization is the process of harnessing the power, right, of it. And really and truly, it provides the use of digital technologies and data to switch towards digital workflows, create a digital culture, because culture will eat strategy any day. You could sit down on a C-level and try to implement something, and if the culture in the organization does not require that, it's going to be difficult to implement. And tap into potential revenues or potential avenues for revenue, right? I mean, the process may become difficult in the early part of the learning curve or the change management aspect of it, but at the end of the day, you would get that return on people or return on investment, right? All right. So you see how we're breaking it down here from digital transformation, or what people think, to digital change, to digital sugarcoating, to find out if you are actually digitally ready. and then we moved to digitization and then digitalization, right? And we're here with digital acumen, right? So digital acumen ideally is just a term that somebody coined, and it's really a lot of companies like PwC, sorry, has like a readiness quiz that says, all right, how digitally ready are you? And they use that to assess employees. So you could do that. You could go online and pull it together, or I maybe even create a digital acumen list that people could kind of gauge employees by. Acumen are the basic skills required to carry out digital operations. This can range from the task of an operator to that of a complex level machine learning programmer. So somebody could code, or somebody could just operate a system. Like I was laughing, somebody, a query came into one of my friends. This was just probably like last week, and the person's like, I have a store. My staff isn't computer literate, but I want to know if you could use Facebook to teach them to sell as we close in a lockdown here in Trinidad, right? So a lot of people now realizing that they hire people without any digital acumen. Using Facebook is one thing, but if your employee is good at Facebook, but Facebook isn't the main channel for your business because of your ideal customer, then that ideally that staff isn't really valuable in this new aspect. So how do you retool them? How do you upskill them? And how do you know what is a benchmark of where to start? Or do you just use a blanket training program and bring everybody up to speed, which may not be that best use of time? So you kind of have to find out where everybody is, or where everybody's digital acumen is, right? So it really boils down to staying abreast of digital trends, understanding the implication of the business or the implication of trends on the business, and how to leverage new technologies and core skills to take effective action quickly, right? How are we going to use this thing to take effective action quickly? Because we may not always have time to sit back as the world changes. That store that's closed down now because we're in Trinidad here under lockdown is losing money to Amazon, who's always open, and people would go to and buy the exact same product, and they would wait a week or 2 weeks and get it. So you are losing money while Amazon is there charting the course like they would have done from ever since, right? So for businesses on different levels, you kind of need to, one, find out where the digital acumen is, how you're going to digitize, what you're going to do with digitalization, find out if you're ideally sugarcoating stuff, and assess where your digital readiness is. What I do for a lot of people is I do something called a digital audit, which is not in this slide. But a digital audit is really where I come in and I assess your business digitally. What do you need? And I tie it to a business model. A lot of people don't realize that they think technology is just standalone. No, everything I do for technology revolves around a business model, an operational model, or value chain. All right, so I see where your business goes in, because I know where the landscape is, or I have a fair enough idea of what the landscape is, and I tie technology into that so your business could achieve whatever it needs to achieve. Right. So as we move to the final slide of things, right? A digital business is the end goal. You have a traditional business now, or some people would already started off with a digital business, cool. But businesses that are transitioning, transforming, a digital business is the end goal. And digital transformation is the process that companies undergo to get to that end goal. So at the end of this, everybody wants to be a digital business, or should be. A bank should change to be a neobank, and that is an end goal because a digital business or a digital bank. And those are the things that we need to look into. And digital transformation is layers, right? I know it sounds good to just jump on and say, hey, we're doing digital transformation, because it goes good with ego, but there's a lot of layers under that digital transformation that we need to get right for it to work, because truth is more than 60% of global digital transformation projects fail because it's innovation. We're testing new markets. We're not even too sure if the consumers are ready for it, and different type of things. So I want people to take away that notion that what a lot of people are doing here is digital transformation. I am not knocking anybody and saying, hey, I'm just here to shoot down people while they're doing whatever they're doing. I'm saying that call it what it is. right? And don't mislead people, because you're not misleading me, for one, because I know better. But two, I need people to understand that digital transformation is a huge thing. It's a serious thing. There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of failure. And hopefully the content that I put out would kind of guide businesses in a way. Because my aim for these series are basically to be a lighthouse for those companies that are now navigating the digital seas, and they don't know where they should go. So I've done a innovation deck that people could use to innovate. I've done a digital business model canvas that people could use to guide them. That is up on my site, oceyphillips.com, and you would see the button, and you just click it. It's download. It's free. I don't need your email or anything. It's free. And I just want people to understand that what digital transformation is in the Caribbean may look a little bit different to what it looks like globally, but we need to have our own localized version of it. And I am kind of here to just guide people to what it is. So thank you guys for tuning in. This video would be up on my YouTube channel, Ocey Phillips, on all social media. Spell OCEY, as you can see down below here. But once you type in that, you'll find access to all my content and everything. Like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, leave feedback. Because as I say, I'm not afraid to say this today and have some information that proves that I'm wrong next week. I will tell you that. Right? But at least I hope this ends, or I hope this sparks a change or makes you make a better informed decision, or ideally adds value to you and help you transform your business.